All right, everybody, we are going to have two videos in this post. The first one is for everyone, and the second one is for all paying members. And before I get into what I've done is we're going to go through all 50 ETFs in my ETF watch list. Rather inelegantly, I'm going to go through them in alphabetical order. In some cases, either because of redundancy or because something's not particularly important, I'll just blow right past it. And in other cases, I'll spend a lot of time on a given symbol. So it's going to be very uneven. Before we get into it, since this is the free video, I wanted to at least speak in very general terms before we kick off. And we'll do that with something that's not an ETF. This is the ES, obviously. And I would remind you that we've only got 2 trading days left. Friday is a holiday. Unfortunately, Friday is also the jobs report day. I looked at the CME holiday schedule, and it's not quite clear to me if ES is trading, and if so, how long. Maybe somebody can chime in the comments about that, but I think somebody mentioned it was trading long enough to at least see the effect of the jobs report that day. So that, just FYI, in case you forgot, Friday's not a trading day. But here's the ES. And this goes back to the beginning of this creature. And this is an extraordinarily simple chart because all we have here really is the housing bubble top, which seems so quaint now, how petite it is. The beginning of QE everything bubble bullish base here. And most germane to us is these Fibonacci retracements, which are anchored to the COVID crash low and the lifetime high. And these have been doing a bang-up job. You can see here that on the famous October 13 Rolo crash, we almost perfectly tagged this. I didn't have the sense to recognize it at the time, but it's plain as day right now, just like screamingly obvious that this was a bottom at this level. And we also, as you can see, have had many instances where these other Fibonacci levels have represented either support or resistance, depending on the direction the price is going. And the thing is, and as I'm talking here, we're looking at the time, it's beginning to dawn on me, maybe I should do 3 videos, and this will just be a general one on the ES, then we'll dive into the ETF, so I'll do that instead, I think. But anyway, what's happening most recently is twofold with respect to where does this thing stop going up. And there are 2 powerful forces at work. One of them is this broken trend line. And this trend line is anchored to the aforementioned October 13 bottom. And it's anchored to the low here on January 6, which began that huge January rally. It was first broken here. And we retraced, pushed up to the March 6 peak, shooting star pattern. So it got a little above it and then instantly fell hard. And wouldn't you know it, look where it fell to. Right around 3,800, right at that Fibonacci. Then we began the next big rally, which was, of course, all due to the billionaire bank bailout that was announced on the 12th of March. And that sent the ES up almost 400 points in just a few weeks. And so it went rocketing up, and so on the one hand, no, there's not one hand, 2 hand. This is a 1-2 punch. Number 1 is that we are again at resistance of that important trend line, and far more important, we're just about got up to this critical Fibonacci level. I think today's high was like 41.72, something like that. So at this great distance, you can see that we have been range bound in this for a year. So April 2022, we've been range bound starting here. So down to the fib, up to the fib, down to the fib, and a little more, hang out there for a while, up to the fib, down to the fib, down even more to the next fib, up to the fib, up to the fib. You getting the hang of it? Up, down to the fib, up to the fib, down to the fib, up to the fib. It's like a new dance sensation I'm going to start. So this level here is terribly important, 4186.57. And I would like to think, this may be wishful thinking, that the peak we saw already this week was indeed the tag, the closest tag we're going to get to that level. And that between the force of that level and the fact we're below this line, just below this line, is that 1-2 punch needed for this thing to start going wah, and perhaps test again 3,800. It is, of course, my sincere wish that the day comes that we actually break 3,800, which, I mean, even getting to 3,800 now would be extraordinary, but it is not out of the question that we could break it. The last time we were down here, I said, for no particular reason, that I think the next time we challenge it, we're going to break it this time. We'll see. But that would be a huge deal and would probably require a global thermonuclear war for it to take place. But, I will just wrap up this one quickie, one simple video now, and then we'll get into the ETF stuff that I promised before. So I'll see you on the other side.